welcome to HOYtalk, a talk show on YouTube and major podcast platforms. We speak up on Filipino topics that are less commonly talked about, maybe even taboo, and while also amplifying Filipino voices in the community. I'm your host, April, and I'd like to acknowledge that this episode is being recorded on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. Today, we're speaking on skin color or colorism in the Filipino community and certain experiences that two of our members have experienced because of their skin color. So we have today Francis, or we call him Panjo, and Almar. So welcome, guys. Hello. Kamusta?
Hello.
Hello.
Mabuti.
So why don't you introduce yourselves muna?
Hi, my name is Almar Reyes. I'm a member of HOY, and I'm a regional health and safety environment manager for Be Clean. And I'm actually a second generation from the previous Taguig community, which my dad was vice president of. So I'm just continuing this endeavor for the oldies.
Hi, I'm Francis de Grano, aka Panjo. I am the Vice President of HOY. I am a CNC operator. And also like Almar, I'm also a second generation HOY. Just like my mom, she used to be the accountant for the Taguig community.
Yeah, so guys, we're here today, I guess, just to talk about like your experiences and yung mga pinagdaanan nyo in terms of like your skin color or colorism. So for people who don't know what colorism is, it's typically like prejudice against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically within the same ethnic or racial group. So like within the Filipino community, there's light skinned Filipino or Filipinas and like dark skinned Filipino Filipinas, and I just kind of want to talk. We wanted to bring it to the forefront and have a conversation on like our experiences in hopes that it would reach people and to show people kind of, our own personal experiences, and maybe you guys can relate. So we thought we'd have a conversation on it. One of my first questions for both of you guys, because I mean, it's obvious, and even Almar was trying to look for good lighting to, show his beautiful skin tone. But we have, Almar, who's, a darker skin Filipino, and Panjo, who's always been a lighter skin Filipino. So what kinds of comments did you guys get from your relatives or friends about your skin color that like stuck with you growing up?
Okay, because growing up with like light skin, like people will always be envious of my skin because like a
Wow.
lighter skin. Like growing up, my mom's would always say like don't go in the sun because you'll get dark. And with like Filipinos, right, we always wanted to be lighter skin.
What about you, Almar, on the other side of the spectrum?
On the other side of the spectrum, this is funny though, because I didn't have any problem growing up because of my complexion. To be
Mhm.
honest, it's actually different because most of my uncles, aunties, cousins, both on the mother's side and father's side, have same skin colors, if not worse than my brother and I. So I didn't get any teasing because of my skin color growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But during my elementary and high school days, I kind of remember getting bullied or like
Mm-hmm.
getting teased for my skin color. It was always my big front teeth, my problem with my nose. Very seldom I get teased for my skin color, which I know you want you want a different version of.
But that's a good thing. But it's interesting how you said like your family has it worse. You know what I mean? Like, why is that worse? For me, like personally growing up, I was, what do they call that? Tama ba yung word kayo mangge? Tama ba yun?
Kayo manggi is yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah,
that's
it's
like
like
halfway between. light
Yeah, it's
and the
halfway
darker.
between. Yes, right?
Yeah.
Like as I grew up, they realized, no, oh, kayo manggi siya or whatever, right? And you know what? I like actually, which is so interesting because maybe if we talk to an older generation, maybe it's different for them. Mhm.
Like I always get teased for, well, not teased, but like I always wanted to belong with like the Filipinos too, because I'm like a lighter complexion, right? I really wanted that kayumangi complexion growing up too.
Oh, that is so interesting. So this conversation has gone the other way. Kasi dati, like, really, you know, like yung mga pinapanood nila sa TFC dati, di ba? Yung mga
Right?
mayayaman, yung mga
Yeah, they always
elite,
have like the light complexion.
the
And
light
if they have like a darker complexion, then they would like go for
a
or
different role.
no, they'll actually like inject glutathione into their skin so they'll be lighter. So like
Mm-hmm.
before they used to be dark, right? And right, if you see them today, they'll be lighter complexion portrays.
This is the problem with like being like, I don't know if it's a problem, but I'm just saying it's part of our culture. Like you, Panjo, like, and you at April, you're like, oh, you're lighter skin. Oh, I want to be darker, and then
Mm-hmm.
the version of us which are darker, we want to be lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that always the
Right?
case though,
I
di ba?
really
Like,
don't. I really don't get why we can't be satisfied with our skin color though. Is it part of the rebellion, or is it part of being like being told you're dark, blah blah?
For me, I just wanted to belong because most of like or like a darker skin, right? And I really wanted to belong.
so what did you do to try to do that? Like, nagbilid ka sa araw? You went suntanning or what?
Well, for me, like I would go to the sun. I would be dark for a couple of weeks, and I'll come back to this skin complexion. So I can't really do anything.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting, Panjo. Like, I didn't know that about you. Like, that you actually wanted to get darker and be like, you know, interesting. Very interesting.
I'll
Yeah.
How about
share.
you, Almar? Diba?
I'll
You
share you
always
my.
joke around about.
I'll, I'll share you. I'll share you my skin color, Panjo.
Okay. Para ano, maging kayo manggi tayo.
Yeah, you guys, we can like meld you together and mix the colors.
Panjo fusion.
Oo nga, fusion.
But so my next question is like, have you ever been offended by like people's comments about your skin color? Has that ever come up or been something that you were, you know, self-conscious about, or someone said something and you're like, oh.
Well, for me, it did, even if I get teased with it, it did bother me growing up. I embraced my skin color. It was given to me. So even if I get teased, like, who cares? Like, that's my
Mhm.
mentality anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like every time you get teased, it's like, yeah, okay. It's your opinion of me, but
Yeah.
why am I gonna change anything that you said against me, right? So it, like, growing up, like I said, most of my cousins and my uncles and aunties, they're darker skinned, so no one really like tease everyone, right? Except
Yeah.
for like and stuff, but that's about the extent of it, right? So
Except for who? Sorry.
oh, no, just the extent of like the jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I it really didn't bother me growing up.
And that's awesome because I think it's also testament to like the way you were raised and who you were around and the kind of like the kind of confidence that gave you, because even like, you know, knowing your dad and everything, he's just like very confident in himself, and your mom too. It's just like, oh, you know, enjoy life, like let them say what they want to say, we're still family, we're here for each other, like we're happy, we're, you know, that sort of foundation that you grew up with is like, oh, it doesn't matter what other people say, like you are who you are, and just be proud of who you are and accept who you are and what you look like and move through life like that. So I think that's like so refreshing and great to see. And like this conversation is going kind of the opposite of some of the ones that I've watched, you know, before, or conversations that I've had before. And so for me, I feel like it's like empowering to see someone who comes from like a bloodline that's like a darker skinned Filipino family, but that you can change your mindset and grow up in a way that's like so positive and so empowering regardless of what your skin color is, because it really doesn't matter.
If you let others' opinion get to you, that then it'll create more problems. That's my message for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So just go along with some jokes. Don't let it like
Don't let it get under your skin now.
Right?
wow.
Wow.
But how about you, Panjo? Like, did anything stick with you? Did you get like offended? Because you were
No.
saying that you want to be darker. So why did you feel like you were an outsider just because you had lighter skin? Like, were your friends like, oh, ang puti-puti mo, or like you're so
Yeah,
white?
although like whenever I'm with my cousins in the Philippines, right, they'll be like, "Oh, you're so light skin, I'm puti puti mo," and I'll be like, "If you want my skin, you can have my skin. I'll have your skin."
Like, was there anything like offensive that you had to go
No,
through
not
in that?
really offensively. It's like I won't get offended, but I really like their color. So if they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to switch colors with me, I'm fine with that because I
Mm-hmm.
really like to be kayo mangge.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess, yeah, I mean, the my next question was kind of the same thing. Like, if any of the comments stuck with you as you were growing up, like if anything anyone said while you were growing up kind of was like, oh, and it was specifically like about your color, or maybe people around you. Like, since you guys kind of had it pretty good, like I'm
Oh,
very happy to know that.
just like Almar, I always get teased about my teeth, like the buck teeth and the eyes, but not really the color. I would be called Inchik Beho because I'm like lighter skin and have chinky eyes. So
My phone.
The worst experience that like I can remember, well, not my own, but if you're really dark, pardon my words if this gets out to like YouTube and stuff, but if you're darker in the Philippines, they like call you negro, negrito, like those are like harsh words. And then
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
when we travel here, they don't change. They still call you that and be like, dude, that's offensive. That's a really
Yes.
offensive. Now
Yeah.
we have to change that mindset of calling a darker skinned Filipino being negrito or negro, because when you go here and you say that, you'll be in so much trouble. That's
Yeah,
what I
Yeah.
experienced when I first came, like coming from the Philippines and then going here. Like the older generations, like even my dad and them, like
Yeah.
they they used that word before and they
Yeah.
just like realized that it's really a bad word. That's it.
it's really
That's
a
just
bad
like
word actually.
we don't have that say like actual education in the Philippines that some of the words that we use there is
Mm-hmm.
really hard.
Are are really what you call it
Offensive.
offensive here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's yeah.
Did you have an experience where they said that and then somebody said something, or you were really embarrassed?
Not to me, not to me. I just from growing up in the Philippines, like I like if someone's like really dark. For example, I feel like in your elementary or you're in high school and then some transferred over, you're
Mm-hmm.
an outsider, and they'll be like they'll tease him or her. I'll be like, ooh, negrito or like kirara or something, kapuroy.
Let's
Ngayon ko
see
lang narinig yung kapuri ah.
what does kapuroy mean for the audience that's not Filipino.
Kirara was it's an episodal teleserye in the Philippines before.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually from the story of the Negritos in Mount Pinatubo. So she's like a really dark skinned, like curly haired Filipino, and
Mm-hmm.
she always gets teased growing
Mm-hmm.
up. So
Mm-hmm.
basically when we were watching that back then, and then like a transferee or like if you see someone who's darker skin, automatically they say, "Oh, Kirara."
Kirara.
Saan yung
Okay.
kapuroy?
Yeah,
Kapuroy was Kirara's dad. So
Oh,
he's darker skin too. So
Oh.
yeah.
And so and that's the thing. Isn't that interesting how like the media and shows really make an impact on your childhood and the way that you see yourself and your social circle. Because in school, right? Like, there's so many different things now that they talk about at school, but like in the Philippines, in your guys' generation, to go to school and then have someone calling you a name of a character on a show that everyone's watching and like making, an impression on kids' lives. Like, I wonder, I don't really watch a lot of Filipino shows now, but I wonder if it's changed.
well,
I
like
watch TFC, so
I I don't have a cable either, so
Yeah. So you
I
guys don't watch it. Like I would just be curious, I guess, for me to be like, oh, like do they still have those like
probably
colorism and like
because
and things?
watching like stars, like Filipino stars, like starting, they'll have a darker complexion, and once you like they get popularized, you'll see
Mhm.
them having a lighter complexion, right?
Lighter complexion, nicer teeth,
Yeah.
right? A nicer
So,
nose.
hmm
Mhm.
so I guess
Yeah.
there's still that mentality because Filipinos still want to be lighter
Mhm.
because they see that as I don't know, purity perhaps,
Is
or
it
like
more
or
like
they as
status?
more, yes, probably status.
no, it's part of our culture, I think, which probably won't end till the end of time. I don't know. That's why we're here. We want some changes from the community, especially like we want to empower people. Like we grew up with that mentality. Coming over here still sometimes it's innate probably that you
Mhm.
like, oh, it's like it's your go-to word. You see a darker skin Filipino be like, oh, um Kirara or something. Oh, tignan mo si Kirara, ganun like it, it maybe it's just me
Mhm.
because I'm a jokester too, so
Mhm. Yeah, well, you come from a
sometimes the
family
jokes
of jokesters. Don't we?
sometimes it
Yeah.
The Filipino culture uses humor for a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
even to cover up, being offended or covering up how we really feel about a certain situation. So we like use humor, which is not a bad thing, but also we kind of suck about talking about our feelings
Mm-hmm.
and how we really feel. But Panjo, you were saying something.
No, like I just noticed this now. Like, look
Mm.
what Art is wearing, and look what I'm wearing.
What? I
Wow!
see. Wow.
What
Mind
coincidence!
blown. Mind blown. So let's talk about that. Why did you guys pick these outfits?
It's easier to wear black now, and all my clothes are black, so I don't have anything to wear other than black.
it shows the contrast.
Almar wanted to highlight his skin tone,
Wow!
right?
Yeah.
So, like, what I guess, which is so nice that we could have this conversation, and it was like very refreshing and very empowering. But for the people who are watching and like are curious about, your guys' experiences, and you did talk about it already, but what do you think your advice is? I know Almar, you touched on it, but like, what would you say, like, for people who are kind of struggling with, you know, feeling like less than or whatever in terms of like their skin color?
I know it's hard and it will be hard if you get teased because of your skin color. Like my message is don't take it like too personally. Like go with the flow. Like if they tease you, be like, oh, that's your opinion, blah blah. But I don't take it really personally because it will hurt you more in the long run if you like go to your room, be like, oh, I get teased. I know it's hard. It is tough because I like what I said before. It didn't happen to me, so
Mhm,
I didn't have that experience. So
mhm,
coming from me with a darker skin who didn't get teased a lot because of my dark skin, I
mhm,
couldn't I couldn't tell those people that are having troubles with it right now how
mhm.
to deal with it. All I can do is advise them to not take it personally, because taking it personally, like, it'll cost you so much pain in the long run. That's what I'm saying.
I guess it's hard because in our culture, it's like we don't really speak up. You know, somebody says something to you and you're just like, oh, sige ho, I guess. And then you kind of walk away and brush it off. Whatever, I'll just carry it. And I think like that's really the way of our culture. And I don't know if it's ever going to change, but I know like as being someone who now has children and like my parents had different ideals and now I have different ideals. It's like I think for me, like I have a darker skinned son and a lighter skinned son. So I see that with when I encounter older Filipinos, like lolos, lolas, or whatever, the titos, titas, it's like they'll say something about like the darker skin one, and I just kind of talk over them, or I say something like, yeah, and it's great, or because like they'll say the same thing as they said to Panjo, oh, you know, don't let him out in the sun because
Yeah.
he's gonna turn way dark, and like, why
Mangingitim
would
siya
you
lalo.
yeah, like why would you do that? Like tell him to get out of the sun. And it's like, but like I grew up here in Edmonton specifically. I've been here since I was a year old. And to hear something like that, it just sounds so
Weird.
yeah, it sounds so weird and naive and kind of like what? Because like this is a this is a 6 year old kid who like wants to run around and play. Like he should be able to do that without me running around going, oh no, get in the shade, you're gonna get dark. Like they're only little once. I wouldn't want to impose that on him because of our what's a good skin color and what isn't, you know? For, you know, the darker skinned child, I just always tell him to be proud of what he looks like and that it doesn't matter. It's kind of like how you were saying that too, Almar. But I mean, in their generation, they don't. From what I'm seeing, and maybe again, this is like personal experience. It's not gonna be. I don't want it to seem like a generalization, but from my experience, like these kids don't care about skin color.
To add up on the weirdness, like in the Philippines, people would go outside. It's sunny outside, and they'll have a umbrella. And if you do that here, it's weird, right? Because
Yeah,
here people like the sun, and
yeah.
in the Philippines, if you go out not having an umbrella when it's sunny, they'll find you weird.
But yeah,
So,
like that's such a huge cultural difference, right? Like, I mean, you
hmm
wouldn't run around and put an umbrella on your kid here.
hmm
That's how you tell which is Filipinos during the summer.
right?
Yeah,
If they're
They'll
wearing
have an umbrella. It's like
if
so
they have
sunny
payong
outside.
over their head, probably Filipino. Hi,
Yeah.
tita.
yeah. But like, but I'd like to maybe talk about your perspective because like you have a son now, Banjo. Like, do you find that like you get comments like, "Oh, ang puti."
Well, my son is like my skin color because me and my wife both have the same complexity, right?
Yeah.
So he have our skin color, but if he grows up, I'll just be like no, like you can go out in the sun, go ahead, go play, go enjoy it.
Yes. Because I mean, I think too, like when I grew up and could travel on my own, you know, growing up, it was always so like, how do you call it? Like, don't go in the sun, iitim ka,
hmm
you
And they'll
know.
put like so much lotion on you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for SPF, okay? I'm all for SPF. That's
Okay.
important. But not
Product
loads.
placement. Product placement.
Anybody who has an SPF created by a Filipino, send it to us. No, just kidding. But also not kidding.
Baka naman.
Baka na.
We can plug your
Sponsor.
product right here. Okay. But I'm all for SPF. Let's get that out of the way. But also, like, yeah, growing up, they'd like take it on you. Parang like you weren't like light skinned because you're light skinned. You're light skinned because they like drenched you in lotion.
Right.
Like the fear of getting brown was so intense.
It
But
was.
it
Yeah.
was intense. But do you feel now that that's not really like something that comes up as much as before?
Well, there's this famous Filipino vlogger, right? Kong TV.
Mhm.
And I think he doesn't care about his skin color because he's dark and he's pretty much just embracing it.
Mm-hmm. But see, and that's the thing, like that's what's so empowering to see is that maybe if we had this podcast / YouTube discussion, I don't know, 5 years ago, it would be totally different. But maybe the media is catching up and saying, oh,
And
yeah,
I
like
think
what
there's
Almar's saying.
there's a Filipina, I don't know if she's an actor or a singer, but she embraces her color. I
Mhm.
forgot her name. I really do, but there's that one Filipino uh singer or actress,
Mhm.
but she actually embraces her color, and she's a darker complexion, so
Yeah.
I think
I
she's breaking the mold. So good
yeah.
for her.
So is Almar.
Woo! Go Almar, go.
Go Almar, break the mold, be proud.
So Ate,
Yeah.
when you were saying you had two kids, one is darker, one's lighter, because it won't probably come up during their school days.
Mhm.
Our schools here are way different than the Philippines, right? So, it usually just comes up with family members.
Yeah.
So when you hear that from a family member calling your darker skin son, oh, but ang itim-itim mo. Well, how do you react to it? How do you?
Well,
I just want to like know from your
Oh, we're
perspective.
asking the questions now.
No, no,
oh, the tables have turned.
boom,
You know,
boom.
see, and that's the thing. Like, if you're watching us right now and this gets into the edited version, the fun part is, yeah, like our hosts are so interactive. Like myself, Almar, I mean, some other members will eventually host and we'll have different Hoy talks. I'm just going to plug it here. But I mean, you can turn it around and ask me these questions or Almar or any of our members. And I think maybe that's what sets us apart is that like we're such an open group and we really want to be there to not just like be out here saying, oh, we're doing this just for the sake of doing it. We're doing it because we want to actually start a conversation and understand what the youth is thinking about and what everyone else is thinking about and our personal experiences, getting it out there so that maybe it'll inspire someone or maybe it'll spark something that you want to talk about. And that's why we're like, Hoy talk. Hey, I mean, some of you might not know, like Hoy is like a popular thing where it's like Hoy, kamusta, or Hoy, or whatever, right? And I think some kind of a slang, isn't it, Almar? Like Hoy,
For
but
boy,
yeah,
Mm,
isn't it like if you say Hoy?
it's just like we
it's
grew
just
up.
like,
Like we grew up. If you don't know someone and be
yeah,
like, and you
hoy,
try to flag him or her, hoy.
yeah, hoy.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's
this
like
is us.
it's like a
If
hey.
you're
It's
watching
like
us
a
and
hey.
we
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
like,
you, but we want to know you, Hoy,
like, hoy,
let's talk. Or hindi pala, let's talk. Hoy talk. Ha? Anyway,
hoy, talk,
back to the
Oh,
question.
hoy talk.
hoy,
Hoy talk.
talk.
Hoy talk. It's not TikTok. It's Hoy talk. No, just kidding. Okay, that went way too far. Back to your question. Sorry. So, like when they say that, sometimes I just talk over them, so that my son doesn't hear because I don't want him exposed to that. So I'll say something like, oh Nash, yeah, go play or whatever. And then I'll say, you know what? It doesn't matter like what his skin color is. You know, kahit umitim yan or maging dark brown, I don't care. Like, this is his childhood and he should be able to run around in the sun and enjoy everything. Like, who he is not defined by what his color is. So I'm not gonna like inhibit him from being a happy-go-lucky kid because I'm worried about him getting a tan. And again, like having had grown up here, being here since I was a year old and having more, you know, like trying to mesh the ideals of the Filipino culture and the Canadian or Western culture, it is challenging because I find myself sometimes in like the crossroads of like what is right here. But it's nice that we're kind of like touching on it here because I think it's important to talk about. But like, yeah, I'll just say like, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, what shade he ends up being at the end of the summer. What matters to us is that he had fun and that he enjoyed his childhood. I'm not gonna be concerned about his skin color. I mean, yeah, I'll put like sunscreen on him for his like protection or whatever, but it's not because I care about like what color he is. Like, it's the same thing with like our lighter skinned son. He's gonna have fun. He's gonna go. He's like so small. He grew up in the pandemic and now he's gonna be running around and like having fun in the sun, and whatever color he ends up being is fine. But if anybody says anything to me about their color, I will like talk over them and say like, oh, hindi ho, okay lang ho yan at mga bata sila. So pwede silang maglaro kahit saan nila gusto, as long as they're not hurting themselves or anyone. You know?
Mhm.
Does that make
Yep.
sense? Because like to me, that's not important. And I think like as the generations went by, I mean, maybe our parents are still like the same. Oh, like they're gonna say maybe to you, Panjo, like your mom or your dad, like, oh, Panjo, ano, bilad na bilad si Araw, si Gano, yung anak mo. You know, like,
Yeah, I'll be
baka
like, it's
mangitim or
okay.
whatever.
Let him have fun. He's got lotion. His
Yes.
skin is
And then a
protected.
product here, product
Yeah,
entry
Product placement
for your
right here.
kids. Anyway, yeah, so I appreciate that question. But yeah, like I'm not the kind, I guess I'm not the kind of person to just sit there and be like, I want like the older generation to understand. Siguro more like communicate where I'm coming from. Yung parang I'm not trying to disrespect like them caring about my kid. Kasi minsan, you know, Filipinos, like that's how they, or our parents, that's how they show they care. Yung parang, oh, baka maganon, oh, you know, like they're so like how do you call that, like maingat, so they're trying to like care for your kids so much, and then they say these things. So to me, instead of just saying, oh no, it's fine, I want them to understand where I'm coming from. So I will outright say, oh, okay lang, hayaan nyo, like he's a kid, he can do whatever he wants. It doesn't matter to us or anyone else like what kind of tan he gets by the end of the summer, as long as he enjoyed himself. Like that's our goal. So I want them to understand that na naintindihan ko that they care about my kid and they want the best for them, because to them, keeping them out of the sun is the best for them, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like explaining, no, you know, he's fine and we're okay with it, and so let him just be a kid, right? That was a long answer.
Wow.
How do you judge
Miss
that?
Universe.
How do you judge that?
Um,
How would you judge that?
The
That
answer.
response?
It's good.
So how does this turn around on me? Like I'm supposed to be hosting
No,
this.
because that this is what our segment is for. Get that information out in the public on how to deal with
Yeah.
this skin color stuff, right?
Yes,
Especially
yes.
with you, with having two kids with two different complexion. This will come up.
Yes.
So,
Oh yeah.
this will probably come up with your two kids when
Mhm.
you're at a party and the two of them was like, oh, bakit kayo magkaiba ng kulay? But like, it will come
I've
up.
had
It
I
will.
have had that. I have had
And
that. Like,
how do you manage that between your two sons when they get asked that and they come up to you and be like, oh, they're like comparing our skin color? How do you like explain that to them? Being
well, yeah. So, wow, that's like a challenging question. It hasn't happened yet because I'm always with them, so I like nip it in the bud. Yung, I guess if you think about it, it's like magsasalita pa lang sila and I know what they're gonna say. I change the subject, or I go, Nash or Tristan, go play somewhere. So
I'll
that
be
they
like,
don't have to be exposed to
No.
it.
Blue, blue,
Yeah.
blue.
But the thing is too, it's like I know that these things, they might come up, they might not, because like
I
we
think it
said,
will come up.
yeah,
it will
It,
it
in
will. Yeah.
situations in a party, but not, hopefully not like in their social lives. Does that make sense? Yung parang it's not such a big deal to their actual, like the people that they're growing up with, or the parents of the people, like their social life is not like that. It's more like our parents, or when we're at a party. Like I know, like maybe when we're at the fiesta or something, they're gonna say like, oh, yung isa, but ganon na, like dalawa tatay nila eh. Just
Well, yeah, that's the thing though, right? Like
they'll
joke
comment that
around
like,
that.
oh,
They'll,
baka
they'll be
magkaiba
like,
tatay
oh,
niyan eh.
baka nasa
but
lisihan si si, si
no,
Kuya.
but yung host na entrega, ha?
Ito yo, Kuya Doy. Kuya
Oh,
Doy.
Kuya Doy.
No, I think if they did come up to me and say that, I'd just be like, yeah, you have different skin colors and that's fine. Like you're both
Because
valuable.
science.
Yes, exactly. Like, or I could even go look at daddy and mommy. Like mommy has lighter skin than daddy, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Like we're two different people and that's okay. You just and what's important is what you feel inside, that you love and you care for yourself, and you have a good foundation within you, that like emotionally, maybe like Almar, it's like, oh, hayaan mo sila.
Who
Like
cares?
Sige-sige
yeah, like
maglibang.
yeah, like like sabihin nila, gusto nilang sabihin, I am who I am and I'm good with that. And and then like maybe, oy, Tito Alfred, Tito Malu, they're like very proud kasi na papanood ka. Oy, proud si Almar sa sarili niya.
Wow.
That is one of the biggest accomplishments, I think, now being a parent myself, of a parent, is having children who love themselves and who are proud of who they've become, because the parent is a part of that, and they're a part of putting in the ideals and raising you in a way that you love you, and you know who you are, and whatever happens, you know who you are, and you're proud of it. I mean, that is like the ultimate goal of a parent, because no matter what comes towards you, whether it be someone talking to you about your skin color, you experience colorism in your lifetime, it's gonna be like, well, sorry that you're naive, but I love me, and I'm just gonna go on with my life. What you say doesn't affect who I am. So in that sense, that's generally what I say. It's like, yeah, you guys do have different skin colors, and that's totally fine. Be proud of who you are. Doesn't matter. And mommy and
Yeah.
daddy have different skin colors, but we're proud of ourselves, and it doesn't matter what people say. So that's it.
Yeah, make me an example.
Wow.
That's a role
Wow.
model right there.
Wow.
Role model. Almar Reyes for mayor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really refreshing coming from everyone here. So yeah.
Mhm.
It is such a refreshing conversation, and it's so nice to like bounce off ideas where like, I mean, we have kids growing up and I feel like maybe, just maybe they're growing up in like a lot more accepting environment. I don't know if it's because like we live in Canada, and again, like I feel just so honored and blessed to have been like living here for this long and the opportunities that we have, etc. But also, sure, like I'm seeing changes that are more positive than they were before in terms of like collaborating with each other and building each other up. Um, it's been kind of in the past few years something that I've seen in the community, and I think it's just so wonderful and empowering to see that. So, yeah. Do you have any other like questions or comments or anything like that on our topic today?
Like everyone is so obsessed about their like skin color, right? Because like what you said, it's gonna be status. Like if people see you as a darker complexity, they'll think you as poor or unhygienic, right? But if they see you as a
Ano
lighter
yun? Ano
skin,
yung taong grasa?
parang ganun eh. Ganun nga ata eh.
Do you mean like before or now? Because I don't
Oh,
see
like
Almar
before.
as like
Yeah,
No,
before. Like
before. Okay.
that is an actually good opinion, Panjo, because when
because yeah.
back when 2009, when we went home in the Philippines for the first time when we came here, we went to we went there. My brother and I, now we were shopping. My brother was just, you saw my brother how dark he is. He's
Mm-hmm.
darker than bald head.
Yeah, bald head.
He was just wearing a tank top shirt.
Tank top.
He went there. No one was going to ask him what he
What size
needed.
he? Because yeah, if
So
you go to
yes,
the Philippines to shop, there's gonna be like 10 like assistant flocking over you to ask you what your size or anything like what you're looking for.
But see
But
that. So
yeah,
what happened to Al, or what happened
my
to Freddie?
my brother didn't get any service. No customer service at all. No customer service at all because he was like wearing normal tank top shirt, white tank top shirt, wearing slippers, and it was so dark and he wasn't getting any customer service. So he basically just picked up what he wanted, went up to the cashier, took out the money, counted the money. He got swarmed by every sales rep. They'd be like, "Oh, sir, what do you need more?" And my brother was like, "The heck you do? Because I was here and no one was helping you. No one was helping me. And then now you come after me?" And I was like, "F you." Like because he was dark, he was wearing normal clothes, and they perceived him as a nobody
like
at the store, which is sad. It's a sad reality in our community in the Philippines.
So is this still happening now? Like I'd be
I
curious.
guess so.
Been back in a long time.
This is back in 2009 when when I went back there. We didn't go to the mall.
We should experiment this, Almar.
Oh, I can.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. You're gonna
You
put
should
your own
post a blog
tickets,
about
and
it.
then you'll take a
We'll do-
camera around,
Yeah.
and see, what happens. But
Yeah.
I do have something to say about that, because when we would go to the Philippines, this is a long time ago, because I haven't been back in like a decade, like more than 10 years. But we would go dressed, like shorts and a shirt and like flip-flops, because that's how people here dress in the summer. Right? And you go to the mall and they are dressed to the nines, and they smell good, and their hair is done, and their makeup is so nice. And we walk in, no help. So is it the skin? So I'm just being the devil's advocate.
So,
is it the skin color, or is it what you're wearing?
I don't know. I think it's the
why would
skin
you go
color.
to the mall with nightgowns and stuff, right?
Right.
It's so hot.
Well, on teleserye, it's like their
comfortable going
pambahays
there.
are like are nightgowns. Like
I know.
who wears
I
that
know.
at the house?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, right? Like, I think the Filipino culture, especially like in the Philippines, and again, I don't know, hey, if anyone's watching and you know how it is there now,
Leave a
DM
comment.
us,
Leave a comment,
comment,
subscribe,
comment below,
subscribe, and
send
comment
us a
below.
DM, subscribe. Is it like that still
I
in the
don't know,
like?
because
I don't know.
like the poor people dress as normal people, right? And if they show the rich people, they'll have nightgowns, just like as pambahays.
That'll be my project at April and Panjo. When I go
Yeah,
back
Yeah.
to the Philippines, I'll
do it.
wear two different shirts. I'll wear
Yes.
I'll wear
We'll we'll we'll
I'll
we'll
wear
have
like a
an
pambahay,
updated
everything.
videos.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
me,
See if
like
it. Yeah. See if it
I
is the
dressed up
like
like
the
that too,
same.
but I got service. Like
Yeah.
like before when I used to visit the Philippines, right? I would just wear flip flops, shorts, shirt, and I would
Yeah,
still
but
get
you're
service.
by lighter skin. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
about now. I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's.
do it, and then the second one, you put grasa on your face.
Yeah, and then I'll go to the cashier, have like 1,000 pesos or like 100,000 pesos on
1,000
my pocket.
Dapat
one
may dala-dala
peso.
kang lata. Yo, Panjo, bring
Oo.
a lata. Tapos nandun yung mga
Nandun yung 100,000
1,000
pesos
pesos mo.
no? Yun yung wallet.
Now, that'd be a good project though. And see if
Yeah.
it's actually still happening. Because like I said, it's 2009 when we were there when it happened.
Mhm.
Matter
Yes.
We're probably better now, and I'm hoping we're
I think
better.
so.
I have faith, that maybe things have changed, but that would be so cool. Like if you guys did that. I mean, yeah, 2024. So a year goes by fast. So it'd be cool to have that social experiment and show people.
It was really a horrible experience for my brother. Back then, my brother was still like what, teenager, and a
Mhm.
culture shock for him when he
Yeah.
went to the mall. So that's why I'm just bringing it up. In our family, friends, we didn't have that troubles. It's
Mhm.
just outside we had that experience. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah. So like what did your brother say after that experience? Like you knew that he was upset or did he talk about it?
He didn't talk about it. He just my brother's upfront with everyone, so that he voiced it out right there and then, right? He
Mhm.
said, "Fuck up! I was here for a long time. No one was helping me, and
Mhm.
then I'm paying now, and you're helping me."
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother's more upfront than I am. I will handle it differently than my brother, but brother's a different breed.
Mhm. Mhm.
He'll
Magkapatid
tell you.
ba talaga kayo?
He'll
Baka
tell
mag-iba
you right
tatay
in your
nyo, ha?
face. Oo nga.
So before we conclude, is there any other stories you guys want to share or any words of advice or experiences you want to share?
What about you, Ate? Madam President?
No, I think mostly here I think I'm the same as Almar. I don't know if I was also just raised to use humor in my life. I've had such positive experiences. I sometimes when you I mean, I don't know if it's our culture or society now. It's like when you say you're good and you're happy and you had all these good things happen in your life, you almost feel bad because you're like, oh, we're doing a podcast. It should be like dark and dreary and like,
Yeah.
ito yung nangyari sa akin, wah, wah.
Like,
Like,
what?
Yeah, it's
and
really like the story should be really sad, but in the
yeah, that's what
We'll
the
have like a
opposite
sad
now.
violin going on too.
yeah, it's like that's what you feel. And again, like for those of you watching right now, like it's no joke. Colorism is no joke. It's challenging. Again, this is just kind of like three individuals who are speaking about our specific experiences. So again, like, comment, subscribe if you want to talk more on it. But for me personally, I have had such a wonderful just experience with life and being Filipino. I mean, a lot of people have really said like, "Oh man, you're really proud to be Filipino and you're so involved in the community," and they feel like they never fit in, or they don't know what the culture is, or just like they identify more in the Western culture. So for me as a person growing up here, I came when I was a year old. My parents, I think, did a really good job of just like showing me the culture, but still allowing me to integrate into the Western culture. There were things that that were very Filipino that I wasn't happy about growing up. And now I understand why they did those things. But for me and my experience personally, I can't really say that I've had any of those negative comments, like in terms of my color. No. So I feel very fortunate for that, because I'm sure that a lot of people have had, challenging things happen to them, or it continuously happened to them, and it could have been very traumatic. And so again, like, this is HOYtalk. So if you're one of those individuals and you're watching right now, DM us, comment below, give us your interpretation, or your personal experience, and how you maybe overcame that, or any kind of advice you have. Because I mean, without people watching us or listeners, then we wouldn't really be here. And so we appreciate that. And if you have any insight as a listener or a viewer, then please, by all means, you're welcome to reach out to us. So yeah, that's my take. How about you guys?
I say just love your color, like whatever you are, like dark, brown, light. Just love your color. Like if you if you group yourself with the right people, they would accept you, and none of this will matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so true.
like what Ate April said, if you want to reach out to one of us, if you had bad experiences, because Ate April and I, we didn't have that bad experience about our skin color. Have someone to talk to. We're happy to talk to you about your experience and help you through your struggles if you're struggling with your skin color. But like Panjo said, love yourself. That's the most important one, regardless of your skin color.
And I totally agree with that. So guys, thanks for joining in this conversation. It was so fun, and I feel like a lot of people would enjoy watching it, because like, I like that we're just so comfortable and open to everyone's experiences, whether that be positive or negative, and we can talk about so many different aspects of the Filipino culture. And I'm glad that we were able to talk about this today. So again, like what Panjo and Almar said, like, love yourself no matter what color you are. It's better said than done, because there's so many things that may have happened to you that nobody knows about, and you struggle with that. But hopefully this conversation is a way for us to open up the conversation, to talk about it, and to make it something like less taboo, something that we can speak to our friends and family about. And so we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you did enjoy our episode, please drop us a like, subscribe, or follow our socials, and share the episode if you could. And we're also building up sorry, not topics. We're also building up topics in in a tabo. So if you have a suggestion for a topic, we'll put it in our tabo, and if it's drawn, your pick will become a future topic on our episode. So if you want to do that, like, you could even leave a comment below, DM us on topics that you feel like you want us to cover. Then we'll write it out and put it on a slip of paper and put it in a tabo, and we'll pick it out, and it could become a future episode. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and I hope we gave you enough insight so that the next time you have the opportunity, you can Hoy talk. So we'll see you next time on the next Hoy Talk episode. Again, subscribe, listen to us on a podcast, or watch us on YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. One love.